Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we cut through the noise, stack up the sources, and really try to extract the most important insights so you can get well-informed fast.
Okay.
Okay, let's unpack this one. Today we're diving into the truly fascinating and, well, incredibly complex saga of Kilmar Abrego Garcia.
hmm
This isn't just one man's story. It's this tangled web involving an illegal deportation, federal charges, legal proceedings stretching across multiple states. It's a lot.
It really is.
And to guide our deep dive today, we've got a comprehensive report from Politico. It details the latest twists and turns from a very recent court hearing.
Yeah, that hearing was critical.
Right. So our mission for you today is to try and untangle this, to understand the crucial, often conflicting questions at play in this unique legal battle.
And what's truly fascinating here, I think, is how Abrego's case isn't just, one person's story. It's more like a vivid illustration.
A window, maybe?
Yeah, a window into the deep, systemic contradictions within the U.S. legal and immigration systems. You've got the same government seemingly fighting for and against someone's freedom at the same time.
That's wild when you put it like that.
It really forces us to ask, where does due process stand when, executive action clashes so directly with judicial oversight? The stakes, as you can imagine, couldn't be higher.
For Abrego, obviously.
For Abrego, for his continued presence here, and you could argue for the very integrity of the legal process itself, it's all in limbo.
That's a powerful framing. It really highlights the layers we're dealing with here.
Mhm.
So, okay, let's maybe start at the beginning for listeners who might not be familiar with Abrego's journey into this,
Right.
this legal limbo.
Good idea. Lay the groundwork.
Right. So, Kilmar Abrego Garcia entered the U.S. illegally back in 2012. He settled in Maryland, lived there for about a decade.
Okay.
Now, here's a crucial piece of his history. In 2019, an immigration court actually ordered his protection. It found he would likely face violence from the Barrio 18 gang if deported to El Salvador.
So he had protection from deportation.
Exactly. That order was supposed to shield him from return.
Okay.
But then came this abrupt and frankly kind of bewildering turn. Despite that protection, the Trump administration deported Abrego without warning in March.
Wow, okay. Without warning.
Yeah, sent him to an anti-terrorism prison in El Salvador. And they labeled him a member of the violent MS-13 gang, which is a connection Abrego vehemently denies.
Right. That MS-13 label is a significant factor.
Huge. And what happened next really surprised me. Despite lower courts and even the Supreme Court finding his deportation illegal.
Even the Supreme Court.
Yeah. The administration initially resisted court orders to secure his return. They just dug in.
So they defied court orders.
Initially, yes.
Yeah.
But then, and here's where it gets really interesting, after all that resistance, there was this sudden dramatic shift in June.
Okay.
The administration abruptly brought him back to the U.S. And get this, they announced it at a nationally televised press conference.
Press conference.
Yes. Revealing prosecutors had secretly secured a grand jury indictment charging him with immigrant smuggling.
So resist returning him, then suddenly return him and charge it.
Exactly. He has, for the record, pleaded not guilty to those charges.
That abrupt return and the indictment announcement really underscore the complexity here. If we connect this to the bigger picture, you'll see this case isn't just happening in one courtroom.
Right, you mentioned two different courts.
Exactly. It's a complex legal dance across two federal courthouses. It creates a very unique challenge for everyone involved.
Okay, break that down for us.
So first, you have the criminal proceedings down in Nashville, Tennessee. That's overseen by Judge Waverly Crenshaw, Jr., who's an Obama appointee.
Okay, Nashville. Got it.
And just this past Wednesday, July 16th, 2025, there was a pretty long session, 2.5 hours, where Judge Crenshaw was mulling over whether Abrego should be released from criminal custody while he awaits trial on those smuggling charges.
Okay, so the bail hearing. And what was the judge's feeling? Was he just listening or, pushing back?
Oh, he was very much probing. What's really notable is Judge Crenshaw's palpable skepticism. He openly suggested there were weaknesses in the government's case.
Weaknesses like what?
Particularly its reliance on 3 cooperating witnesses who all happen to be family members. He even noted, and this is a direct quote, their family talk.
Yeah, that definitely raises a flag about getting their stories straight.
Precisely. It highlights the judge's concern about that possibility, coordinated stories. He also found it, quote, hard to understand the prosecutor's argument that Abrego, who has no criminal record, couldn't be released without endangering the community or fleeing.
Especially with no prior record.
Right. And in fact, a federal magistrate judge had already ordered Abrego released in this criminal case last month.
Oh, okay. So this wasn't the first time release was ordered.
Correct. But the administration appealed that magistrate's decision, which led to this hearing before Judge Crenshaw.
So Judge Crenshaw seemed like he might lean towards release then. And what about Abrego himself? Did he want out?
It certainly appeared Crenshaw was leaning that way, yes. But you hit on a really unusual point. Abrego himself actually took the uncommon step of asking to remain incarcerated for now.
Wait, he asked to stay in jail? Why?
He did it specifically to ensure he isn't subject to sort of snap deportation proceedings the moment he's released from criminal custody.
So he's worried they'll just grab him and deport him immediately if he gets bail.
That seems to be the concern, yes. The judge expects to rule on this bail issue next week.
Wow. Okay, so that's Nashville. What about the other court?
Right. So in parallel to this, you've got separate litigation happening up in Greenbelt, Maryland. This is before Judge Polishines, who is also an Obama appointee.
Okay, Maryland. And what's the goal there?
The purpose of this separate case is for Judge Shines to consider blocking the Trump administration from immediately redeporting Abrego if he gets released from criminal custody in Nashville.
So kind of an insurance policy against that snap deportation he's worried about.
Exactly. And Judge Shines has, according to the Politico report, strongly hinted she plans to put in place an order. It would require the administration to give Abrego at least 2 business days' notice before trying to deport him again.
2 days' notice. Okay.
She had actually indicated she planned to rule before Crenshaw's hearing in Nashville, but, well, she didn't. So that's still pending.
So we have these conflicting signals then. The Justice Department lawyers in court saying they will try to deport him.
Right. Likely to a country other than El Salvador, they've said.
But then you have White House and DOJ spokespeople telling the public, no, we're committed to the criminal case, not deportation. It's incredibly confusing.
It is. And that's precisely the ambiguity that the defense attorney, Sean Hecker, raised right at the end of that Nashville bail hearing.
What did he say?
He basically pressed the U.S. attorney, Robert McGuire, on this exact point. You know, you guys are saying one thing in court, your bosses are saying another thing publicly. What gives?
And did McGuire answer?
Nope. According to the reporting, McGuire did not respond to Hecker's query.
So that inconsistency just hangs there. Could
Yeah.
be strategy, could be internal disagreement.
It certainly suggests either a lack of clear internal coordination or maybe, a strategic ambiguity designed to keep Abrego and maybe his lawyers off balance.
Okay, with that legal landscape sort of mapped out, let's pivot to the nitty-gritty, the evidence. What actually came out in court during that Nashville hearing? What did the prosecution present?
Right, the substance of the smuggling charge.
Yeah. So the prosecution detailed call logs. They say these logs suggest Abrego called Jose Hernandez Reyes, that's the man allegedly running the smuggling operation,
Okay.
on the specific night in November 2022 when Tennessee state troopers stopped Abrego. He was driving an SUV with 9 Hispanic men on Interstate 40 near Cookeville.
That was the initial stop.
That was the initial stop, yeah. And a key identifying detail here, which I found pretty interesting, is that the phone number used was registered to Abrego's wife.
Oh, okay.
And it was saved in Hernandez Reyes' phone contacts under Kilmar chauffeur, which is Spanish for, Kilmar the driver.
Yeah. Kilmar, not Kilmar. Interesting. So circumstantial, but points towards a connection.
Right. Then there was travel data. They discussed data showing the phone moving through Texas, Arkansas, and Missouri, leading up to that traffic stop.
Which you mentioned didn't lead to charges at the time.
Correct.
Yeah.
No immediate charges, not even a ticket. But prosecutors argued Abrego lied to the trooper back then. He apparently said the men were working construction in St. Louis.
Okay.
But the phone's travel data appears to travel really nowhere close to St. Louis, according to the prosecution.
So suggesting the St. Louis story was cover.
That seems to be the implication. And then there was this truly shocking allegation that came out in testimony.
Go on.
Homeland Security Investigations agent Peter Joseph testified. He said that a woman who apparently aided the smuggling operation claimed she heard Abrego confess to a murder in El Salvador.
A murder confession. Whoa.
Yeah, stating he, quote, fled El Salvador because he had taken part in the murder of a rival gang member's mother.
That's a bombshell allegation. A rival gang member's mother.
Absolutely. Huge. But, and this is a big but,
Okay.
this raises a really important question, doesn't it, for any criminal proceeding. What does it mean when the strength of a case seems to rely on evidence that, okay, it's intriguing, maybe even damning if true, but also has these unconfirmed elements? or seems to come from maybe an incomplete investigation.
Right. How solid is that bombshell?
Well, Agent Joseph himself admitted under oath that efforts to actually confirm that murder story have been unsuccessful.
Unsuccessful, so they can't verify it.
Apparently not. And no one else they interviewed reported hearing this story. He noted, the difficulty lack of a specific date or region for the alleged murder, and just the sheer number of murders in El Salvador makes it hard to track down.
So a secondhand, uncorroborated claim of a murder confession, that feels shaky, legally speaking.
It certainly seems like a potential vulnerability for the prosecution. Did the defense manage to poke other holes in the investigation's quality?
Oh, absolutely. The defense definitely scored some points there, making aspects of the investigation look, let's just say, less than thorough.
Like what?
Well, Agent Joseph admitted he didn't read 3 earlier law enforcement reports. Reports about statements made by Abrego's alleged boss, Hernandez Reyes, before he interviewed the man himself.
He didn't read the prior reports before interviewing a key figure.
Nope. His explanation was basically he was just interested in what he said when he talked to me.
Wow. That sounds almost negligent in a complex case like this.
You could certainly argue that. It could be pretty damaging for the prosecution's credibility. And furthermore, under questioning directly from Judge Crenshaw...
The judge jumped in again.
Yeah. Joseph admitted he hadn't asked the 3 related informants, the family members, if they'd coordinated their testimony.
He didn't even ask.
He didn't ask. Though the prosecutor, McGuire, did try to suggest that Hernandez Reyes and the female family member who claimed she heard the murder confession were not actually on good terms, trying to preempt that coordination concern, perhaps.
Still, not asking seems like a basic step missed.
It does. And then there's this other sort of intriguing subplot that adds another layer of, oddness to the whole story.
Okay, what's that?
Ben Schrader. He was a high-ranking federal prosecutor there in Nashville. He abruptly quit his job on the very same day in May that the indictment against Abrego was returned.
The same day the indictment came down. That seems significant.
It certainly raises eyebrows. Agent Joseph acknowledged that Schrader was present at an initial interview of Hernandez Reyes, but not at subsequent ones. And local press reports, like from ABC News, have apparently linked Schrader's departure directly to the handling of Abrego's case.
So speculation that a senior prosecutor quit over how this case was being handled.
That's the speculation, yes. It really makes you wonder what was going on behind the scenes in the prosecutor's office.
It certainly does. Okay, so stepping back, what does this all mean for us, for you, the listener, trying to make sense of this whole thing?
Yeah, where do we stand now?
Well, we've unpacked a case where a man's freedom, his future, and maybe even the definition of justice itself are being debated across different courtrooms. You've got judges, prosecutors, defense attorneys navigating this labyrinth of legal and factual challenges.
It's messy.
Very messy. And whether Kilmar Abrego Garcia ultimately walks free, stays detained, or faces yet another deportation attempt, his saga is clearly far from over. The next step seems to be that bail ruling next week.
Right. So what stands out to you as you consider all these moving pieces? For me, this case doesn't just highlight the intricate dance between, legal precedent, administrative power, and individual rights.
It does more than highlight.
Yeah, I think it really exposes the fragile points where those systems can break down, or worse, collide head-on. So for you, the listener, maybe we leave you with this thought to chew on. In a world full of complex legal systems and these competing, sometimes contradictory governmental priorities, how do we really ensure that due process prevails?
Especially in a case like this.
Exactly, especially when so many factors are in flux and even the key players within the government itself seem to be completely at odds. How does justice get done then?